Bytes. My name is Parul Christian, and I'm delighted to be presenting today on the topic of multiple micronutrient supplementation during pregnancy in the context of low and middle income countries. I will be summarizing the evidence that has been generated in the past 2 decades for this intervention in improving birth outcomes. Here is my disclosure slide, and I have no relationships to declare. So let's begin first by looking at the estimated global burden of low birth weight, defined as weight less than 2.5 kilogram. This figure shows that about 20 million babies were born low birth weight in 2015. The burden is highest in Southern Asia, shown in blue, contributing to almost half of the global burden. And as you can see, there has been a very slow decline in the prevalence of low birth weight from 2000 to 2015. Reduction of low birth weight, as you know, is also one of the World Health Assembly nutrition targets. Low birth weight babies are at a high risk of mortality, but also experience growth faltering in the first few months of life and need appropriate support to thrive and grow. The two main underlying biologic causes of low birth weight are small for gestational age and preterm birth. Being born too small or small for gestation age is one of the causes. Over 23 million babies are born too small and experience high neonatal mortality. About 15 million babies are born preterm, that is less than 37 weeks gestation, and 1.1 million die annually due to complications of preterm birth. Shown in red here are the various maternal undernutrition and other non-nutritional factors giving rise to low birth weight and its underlying causes. These include short stature, low pre-pregnancy BMI, low weight gain during pregnancy, and micronutrient deficiencies, among other factors such as adolescent pregnancy, infections, and lifestyle factors. So recently, global progress in the nutritional status of women and children was examined in the Lancet Nutrition series published earlier this year, in which I participated. And here I'm showing a couple of figures from the first paper. The graph on the left shows the prevalence rates of 3 indicators of maternal undernutrition: maternal low BMI, short height, and anemia in 2000 and in 2015. As you see, low BMI among women of reproductive age, one of the major risk factors of low birth weight and fetal growth restriction, has decreased from 2000 to 2015. But reductions in short stature and anemia are small. Shown in the right is a map of a subnational data on the prevalence of low BMI using smaller geographic units within countries. We found numerous subnational hotspots for low BMI in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, showing that while national rates may have improved, there still exist disparities within countries. In this graph are shown regional estimates of micronutrient deficiencies and anemia in women of reproductive age. Data are derived from 52 national and regional surveys published between 2013 and 2017. Missing bars means no data were found for that micronutrient in that specific region. Also note that the black circles that are shown are data that are not representative. That is, only 3 or less countries contributed to the data. Overall, there are scant data on biochemical markers of micronutrient deficiency, particularly in Africa. High prevalence of deficiencies, as you can see, are recorded for vitamins B12, vitamin D, iodine, zinc, folate, and iron in low and middle income country settings. These data are on micronutrient deficiency prevalence for different vitamins and minerals in early pregnancy from one study in Nepal, suggesting that women are deficient in multiple, not single nutrients, given the chronically poor diets. Few such data, though, exist on micronutrient deficiencies in pregnancy from different countries, and we need more data in this area. So with that background on maternal nutrition and micronutrient status, I would like to share with you a brief history on the trajectory of the evidence generation that occurred for antenatal multiple micronutrient supplementation in the context of low and middle income countries. It is well recognized that there is a high burden of low birth weight and that women enter pregnancy with multiple, not single, micronutrient deficiencies. In high-income countries, it is common for women to use a one-a-day supplement. Thus, in 1998, the United Nations International Multiple Micronutrient Preparation for Pregnancy, a multivitamin mineral supplement, was designed for women in low middle-income countries by the WHO and UNICEF. Following these, there was a need and a call for generating evidence related to the efficacy of this intervention using randomized controlled trials to examine the impact on birth outcomes in these populations. Here is the composition of the Unimap formulation. It contains 15 vitamins and minerals at an approximate RDA for pregnancy, according to the US Institute of Medicine in 1998 requirements with some modifications. Some of the details of that are found in that report that I have provided. Now, fast forward to today. Almost 15 years of research went into generating the evidence for antenatal multiple micronutrient supplementation. 17 trials were conducted across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Multiple micronutrient supplements were compared in these trials against a standard of care control of iron and folic acid. The Unimap formulation was used in many trials, but not all. And birth weight and low birth weight was the primary outcome in a majority of these trials. A recent Cochrane systematic review was completed, which actually included a total of 141,000 women in the trials, and there were a total of 19 trials. Another stratified individual participant data analysis was also undertaken, including 17 trials and almost 113,000 women. And I will present and summarize the results from both of these analyses. So here are the main results shown both for the IPD analysis and the most recent Cochrane meta-analysis. Multiple micronutrient supplementation was compared to the standard of care for iron and folic acid. There's a high quality evidence to show that it reduces the risk of low birth weight by 12 to 14%. The confidence intervals are quite tight around this estimate. And there is also moderate quality of evidence that there is a slight reduction in preterm birth by 5 to 7% and a reduction in small for gestational age by 8% in the Cochrane analysis and a small 3% reduction in the IPD analysis. Also, this is also significant. While there was no overall reduction in neonatal mortality, although I must say that only a few trials were powered to examine mortality as an outcome, there was some evidence of mortality reduction in subgroups. Here you see that multiple micronutrient supplementation reduced the risk of mortality among female infants in the neonatal period and throughout the first year of life, a benefit that was not observed in male infants. The p-values are those for interactions, which were significant. One important consideration is whether multiple micronutrient supplementation is at least as good as iron and folic acid in impacting hemoglobin and reducing anemia during pregnancy, given that iron and folic acid is recommended for antenatal use in many countries where the burden of maternal anemia is high. This is the meta-analysis looking at MMS versus IFA on anemia. As you can see, there is no difference between IFA and MMS. The relative risk is close to 1, indicating that multiple micronutrient supplements are just as good as iron and folic acid in impacting the risk of anemia during pregnancy. Let's look at the guidelines related to MMS. In 2016, when the WHO antenatal care guidelines were released, MMS was not recommended for pregnant women. Subsequently, several guidelines were revisited and updated based on new evidence and further deliberations. In 2020, WHO updated their guidelines to include MMS in the context of rigorous research, especially calling for a need for implementation research in this area. In summary, there is clear, rigorous, and consistent evidence that antenatal multiple micronutrient supplementation is a superior strategy and intervention than iron and folic acid. It reduces low birth weight, small for gestational age, and preterm birth. It also contains iron and folic acid that is recommended by WHO. I did not present this, but it is also a cost-effective intervention, and there are papers looking at this that are published. Implementation research is needed to design programs to deliver MMS in the context of antenatal care and other platforms. Many policy and programmatic questions remain, including the need for a financing model and the production and procurement of the Unimap formulation, and adoption of policies by countries. Adoption of policy to replace iron and folic acid and MMS is urgently needed in LMIC contexts where maternal micronutrient deficiencies are widespread. Thank you.